If you've been following the Fixity Fix channel, you saw in one of the last episodes of the Ranger 2.9 V6 rebuild that I was excited about getting some roller rockers from Tom Morana. And I explained how the roller rockers are supposed to work. Well, it didn't turn out quite the way I hoped.
Fixity Fix!
Got the engine running, everything built back to brand new specs and better by a machine shop here in Roanoke. I sent it to Merrill because I knew he would get it right, and I know my limits, or at least think I do. So had him do the build to make sure that we got all these expensive parts in exactly right. Well, he was a little suspicious of these parts, but he put them together and it passed the test of turning the crank, and everything had reasonable clearances after he corrected a few machining mistakes on the parts as sent. So this is how they go together. The roller rocker goes onto these studs, and then the studs are held in and torqued to spec here. And those hold onto these studs that in-house Morana welds, and these are ARP studs, so they're good ones. And then of course this bolts in where the rocker shaft is retained, and this is the part that Morana machines in his shop. During run-in, the engine ran about 5 minutes and started making horrible noises. Off came the valve covers, and here's a photograph of what happened. These rocker arm studs had broken off. 4 of them had broken off inside this engine. That was the horrible noise. You can see where both of these broke off, so you had 2 on each side that had broken off. The issue, as we were able to sort of forensically take it apart here, is that Morana's team, or Morana, went in and TIG welded the studs to the bottom of this roller arm, or this roller rocker holder, and apparently the welding was done such that too much heat got into the stud, and the studs broke off right where they were welded on both sides. So I've pulled the engine back apart, or at least the heads, and we'll move on over to the truck now, moving it right back to spec, back to regular rockers, because I want this to be reliable. We're going to have to rely on the mods that I've done, the porting and polishing, and the bore over that the machine shop has done for the extra power that I'm hoping, so this truck will keep up a little better with modern traffic. We'll head over to the truck. So our job right now is to return this thing to stock springs. Morana had spec'd these extra heavy-duty springs with internal inserts that I'm taking out to return it to the stock setup, and we'll be putting these back in. You can see likely the difference here, just one spring and a bit thinner, and these all passed the test at the machine shop here in town. So I'm going to be removing the non-working defective parts and replacing it with factory spec parts. These are the Morana springs that are coming out of this engine, and I've already replaced cylinder 4 springs. We're about halfway through, so these are the springs that are going back in after having been cleaned up. So now we need to take these out. I'm using this spring compressor tool to remove the springs, and I actually have 2 of these, one I borrowed from the machine shop. It's just quicker to go ahead and compress the spring that's going in. You have to compress it really far to get it to actually seat in correctly. I'll show you in a moment. So the firing order on this is 1, 4, 2, 5, 3, 6. And so we go in the firing order and we put compressed air into the cylinder using a compression tester hose that hooks up to your air hose typically, or a leak down tester hose. In this case, a compression tester hose, you have to pull out the Schrader valve and you put put air into the cylinder to keep the valves from falling into the cylinder. If they fall into the cylinder, you have to take the heads off, and that's a big job. So we're hoping that doesn't happen. We're on cylinder 5 now, halfway through, and I'm going to bring 5 up to top dead center. 3, 5, 3, 6, 1. So that does look like it's probably top dead center. Let's poke a screwdriver into the cylinder to see. Okay, I can feel the top of the piston, so that one's indeed at top dead center, and I'm referencing the distributor rotor to tell me which cylinder it's pointing at. Now, we put compressed air in. When I connect the air, probably the cylinder is going to drop. The cylinder is going to get pushed down. I have about 80 psi running in this compressor. A lot of people say do the top end of the compressor. I do it a little bit lower. I prefer the piston to be at top dead center throughout the procedure. This engine's got really good compression because of the way it was built, so it's probably going to pop right down even with 80 in it. And you're going to hear the compressor run a lot during this. It's a cold engine, so we'll get a little bit of, and also get a little leakage through this hose. So here goes. Yep, hear that turn? That piston actually has good compression, so it went down. Now we can begin removing. We're going to do the hard valve first. I just want to get it out of the way. Spring compressor. You can watch Eric the Car Guy for a different way to take off springs. The machine shop told me they really didn't want me to do it that way just because it's a higher risk for dropping the valve into the cylinder. So this is just a little bit more controllable, but time consuming and a bit of a pain. This valve has the keepers farther down onto the valve, and that's what makes it harder to install. These hoses that I'm working around are not making it easy either. As we get closer to the firewall, this is going to be much harder. You can see that I've got these shop rags covering up any parts of the engine where valve keepers might fall in. That's going to involve taking off the oil pan and all kinds of excessive work to get at if that happens. So it's good to cover up all your entry points. Covered up the other spark plug holes. All right, here's where the magnet comes in. Intake and exhaust keepers look different. Use the magnet to try to get the old keepers to come out. This is where it just takes a lot of fettling and time and patience and a few swear words. It helps to push down. Okay, there's one. And we're putting the parts that came from the faulty kit separately. I'm not even going to reuse those keepers. I'm going to use the stock ones. All right, so both of these keepers are off, and the spring's going to come off next. We want to be careful not to knock that valve down. And then we're going to see about getting the new one in. This is where it's really critical to have this squoze as tight as possible. I'm going to get a little bit of assembly grease on the tip of the valve stem just to help hold the keepers in place. That pops on. New ones supplied locally that match the ones that came out. And here's where it gets a little finicky. I don't know how many times I'm going to drop this down and have to fish it out with the magnet. This is going to be just very difficult to video. Get that seated down in there. Gotta give it some wiggles. Yeah, come on. Okay, that one's on. And since we got it on from that position, I'm going to turn it to the opposite of that position, just because I know it'll go, the other one will go on that way. Hear that compressor keeping that piston full of air to try to keep the valve from dropping in. Get that semicircular sucker placed in there. Okay, now we're going to have to find that and fish it out. My rags caught it, thankfully. There we go. I usually wear gloves, but this is just a high feel kind of an operation, so you really just want your fingertips in play here. Pressure on the spring, keeping pressure off of the valve itself. And this is going to take like a week. This is the longest part of the job. If you a lot of you have done this more than me, so if you have tips, put them in the comments. I'm here to learn. Just turning the whole spring here. See if there's a point where it'll click in. That sometimes has gotten it on the other 3 that I've done. Haha! Alright, that clicked on. So now we pull up and make sure that it seats properly. If it doesn't seat properly, you gotta get it where this keeper seats all the way to the top of these little keepers. And then we unscrew it. And this is on tight, so this is gonna take some Popeye forearms. Get over here, Sarah. And then we pulling up just to keep it together and in the right orientation. We unscrew this, releasing the tension from the spring. All right, that tension is released, and then it's going to be a little something to wiggle this out. There we go. And that is in place. And now we do the same with the exhaust. I think this is intake, and this is exhaust, and that's intake. So the exhaust one goes on a little harder. Now the intake one is next. It's the same process. I'm not going to video it, and it's just a little easier because of the way the keepers are. Our next episode will have us putting the engine back together, firing it up, and just doing the troubleshooting that comes with getting a newly rebuilt engine started. I did reach out to Tom Morana, and he promptly sent me a new roller rocker cradle. You'll notice there's no welding at all here. I'm not satisfied with the quality. Each stud is mounted at a different depth on the bottom, and the fit and finish isn't something that I will end up putting in the engine. So are Morana roller rockers worth it in the Ford 2.9? That's going to be a judgment call for you. It did not work out in my situation. So tune in next time and we'll give you an update on our Ford 2.9 rebuild, Project Ranger. Thank you for watching. Please remember, hit subscribe and like if you enjoyed this. If you didn't enjoy it, move on. Where to put my hose? Where my hose
Over
at?
there somewhere.
Oh yeah?
Where my hose at?